Hi students. Framework for levels of managers in the book is in front of you there, and you can see it's on page 12 out of the text. And from that you can see there are 4 different levels of managers, including the CEO at the top level. Anywhere from first line managers, middle managers, top managers, all the way up to the CEO. And one of the things I want you to understand is the larger context of the organizational picture. Like, where does this pyramid fit into the organization? And you need to understand how this framework works in decision making and that sort of thing. So to help you understand that kind of fit here, I'm going to look at an organizational model from the realm of organizational theory, and then kind of combine an organizational theory model and this pyramid framework that you're looking at for levels of managers. This framework that you're looking at is called the Thompson model, and describes one view of how organizations look. Now, there are multiple ways of looking at organizations, including the traditional organizational chart, for example, and other more complicated models. And so what you're looking at is just one example. But I like this Thompson model because it's simple, it's not specific to any industry, it works across multiple industries, and it's based on solid organizational research dating back to the late 1960s. You'll notice in this framework that the organization exists in a space called the task environment, and we'll describe that in just a minute here. But like an onion being peeled back, the organization has 3 layers: the institutional layer at the outer level, the management layer, and then of course the technical center, the technical core at the middle. This particular model is part of a family of organizational models collectively known as open systems. Now, by open, the organization tends to get pushed around, if you will, or influenced by the external forces from the task environment. The organization is open to changing to remain legitimate for stakeholders and external to the organization. So by comparison, though, a closed system type of organization remains focused on their purpose. They're all about effectiveness versus efficiency. And even if it means that they're not going to survive, Kodak in the mid-70s, for example, remained closed to the notion of technology that's changing around them. They did not worry about digital photography. They refused to budge from their narrow interpretation of their vision, and they ignored digital photography. And well, you know what the result is. Kodak's not around anymore, at least not in the same format that we would recognize him. And more recently, Toys R Us remained closed to the idea of online shopping until it was too late. They stuck to their guns on the whole brick and mortar building, and boy, did they live to pay for it. As you know, they closed up recently. So anyways, that's a quick look at the model. Let's talk about the different layers. So starting with the technical core and working our way out, you can see at the center of each organization is the group of people that produce the actual product or deliver the actual service. They're at the technical core because they know and understand the product that's being produced or the service being delivered. If you're a call center, these are the people making the calls, receiving the calls. If you're at a restaurant, these are the waiters and waitresses and cooks. If you're in manufacturing, these are the engineers, the production workers, and the material handlers, all those folks that make it work. They're the people who touch the product, deliver the service. The primary focus of this group is often efficiency, getting the most output from any given input. And all other layers of the organization work to support the technical core of the organization in the Thompson model. At the next layer out are the managers, and these folks direct and protect the technical core. They buffer or filter the outside influences from distracting the technical core from being efficient. If you look closely at your organization, you know what I mean. The managers rebuff, respectively, of course. They push back. They push back on that influence of the institutional level and the outside forces from the task environment. This group of management is measured often in 2 different realms, though. They must meet efficiency requirements, so they push on the technical core for that, and simultaneously they must be effective by meeting the purpose of the organization or delivering what the customer wants. And oftentimes, efficiency and effectiveness are at odds, and it meets right at the middle where management sits. Managers are the pinch point in the organization. It's the hardest job in most organizations. At the institutional level, you find the top level leaders, including CEOs, CFOs, vice presidents, and whatnot. And these job titles vary from organization to organization, but I think you get the point. These folks are the decision makers at the top. They feel the pressure from the external task environment to meet expectations. This level of the organization also looks outward from the organization, conducting what's called boundary spanning activities. They look for new opportunities to keep the organization legitimate and financially viable. They're always weighing, should we move the organization towards a trend or should we stay right where we're at? And finally, the task environment. It contains the external forces to the organization. Community groups, government, competitors, suppliers, stockholders, board members, and social expectations all exist in this domain that we call the task environment. These stakeholders attempt to push the organization towards their own purpose. So you can see that most organizations are constantly being pressured to go in a certain direction based on what a particular stakeholder wants in the task environment. Oftentimes, the organization rationalizes operational efficiency against organizational effectiveness. There's always this tension, this push-pull of efficiency versus effectiveness, and often it's felt by the managers. So let's overlay the framework from the text and this triangle for the different levels of management onto the Thompson model of organizational structure to get a better understanding of how managers at different levels of the organization understand the pressure of efficiency versus effectiveness. You can see that the CEO level from the text framework sits squarely into that institutional level of the organization. The top, the middle, and the frontline levels fill the management level in between. So in any organization, the management levels buffer interferences from above and do their best to have the technical core focus on efficient production of goods and services. You can think about it like this. The closer as a manager, the closer you are to the technical core, the more your focus is going to be on efficiency. And the closer a manager is to the task environment, the more their focus becomes on effectiveness or pleasing the customer, if you will. That's be another way to think about it. And think about your own company for a minute and the dilemmas and conflicts that you get involved with. If you're a manager, some of your greatest sources of conflict come from pushback from the upper levels of management who want the organization to meet customer demands, while you're attempting to be efficient. Moreover, you also get significant strife from the technical core when you introduce changes that impact efficiency metrics. Managers have a difficult role to fill. It takes great leadership, clear thinking, and a laser focus. Listen, I hope this helps you in connecting the text framework on management levels to your organization. And by the way, here's the references, so you know where I got those. Thanks and have a great day.